Okay, so in the first part of this project, we calculated the AR balance amount per period per invoices. In this part of the project, we will calculate for each of these invoices what are the number of days late or the days after the invoice date for each period. So each period will be calculated with the last day of each month. So first month, let's say an invoice was issued on the 15th of the month. So in the first period, it would be 15 days late. Now, I don't want to say late because late could be more than 90 days, 60 days, depending on the terms, but would be 50 days old. And then in P2, it would be 45 days and so on. So that's what we're going to calculate. And in the third video, we will put everything together in Power BI. So, but for now, it's just going to be another SQL query. So my first step will be I will just reuse the same code because the code will be somewhat similar, but a little bit shorter. So I'm going to use my first CTE that I used to get all the dates available in the table. So I have date list, and I'm going to reuse the second part where I summarize all the dates in periods. But in this case, I will add an extra column, which will give me the end of the month date. So I'm going to go ahead and validate this part. So I'm going to check period list. So now I see that I have for every single period my last date of the year of each month. So that's what I want. Zoom in. Okay. So next one, I will get for each invoices, I will get the period and the date of each invoices. So that will help me to calculate the number of days for each period. So I'm going to go ahead and check if that works. So like in the first video, I have my 1,000 invoices, so that works. Okay, and same thing, same logic as the other one. I will cross join these invoices with all the period to get all the possible combination. So I'm going to call this one duck period combination. So I'm going to use invoice period. I'm going to call like this. And I'm going to cross join this one with period list. So here I'm going to get my document number, and I'll start with my transaction period. So this one I'm going to get from the period list with all the period. And then I'm going to use the transaction date. And finally, my last date, my last day of each month. Okay, to that I will group them together. Though I'm not sure there would be duplicate there, but anyway, just in case. Okay, so I will validate the results. Okay, so I get my invoice date, and here I get my last day of the month. So the difference between these two will give me the days, the age of each invoices for each period. Okay, so I don't need any CTE anymore. So now I'm ready to get my final result. So I will get I'm only going to use, I could do it in here, but I'll do it separately. But for sure, these are things that for optimization purposes, we could optimize. Whoops. But just to keep it more cleaner, I'll do it like this. Okay, so I will do it like this. So document number, transaction period, because the transaction period will be important to make the joint with my other query that I built in part 1. And then here, transaction date and an invoice date, my last day. And then now I'm going to calculate the number of days. And to do so, I will use the DATEDIFF function. So DATEDIFF, you give them two dates and it will calculate the number of days, month, week, year between these two dates. So I need to specify what's the interval, and in this case it will be day. I want my transaction date, and then I want my last day. Now we'll call this number of days. Okay, so now I can validate. So here I see my number of days. So obviously some of them don't make sense. They get negative because if an invoice was issued, in this case, on December 29, 2021, and then my period that I'm looking at is 2020, it's going to be negative. But what I'm going to do in the next step is join them with the balances that I have. So if there's a balance, for sure, this balance will have a greater date than the invoice date. So it will always positive. So this is only good when it matches an unpaid invoice that we calculated in our first query. And that's what we're going to do in the part 3.